um, she has a spirit name and she needs some guidance on how to raise her with this spirit name and how to, and whether her name connects with her daughter's name and in what way. So Erica, could you tell us again what your daughter's spirit name is?
Daughter's spirit name is, did you?
Yeah, my daughter's spirit name. Sorry. My daughter's spirit name is Millida. And my spirit name is Flying White Thunderbird. I can't remember how to say it anymore.
Okay. Jane, are you hearing Erica?
Yes, I am. Yeah, no, I heard that. She said Millido, which is hummingbird, right? And hers is Flying White Thunderbird Woman. Is that what you said?
Yep.
Okay.
So
So what is it that she
know,
wants to know about them?
she wanted to
know
how to, guidance on raising her daughter who has that name, and whether her name and her daughter's name, how do they connect with one another? Is that right, Erica?
Yes.
Okay.
Do you know what? I don't really know. Because that's something, when we do traditional naming ceremonies and we get that name and we give it to that human being, that person, it's up to them to seek it, to ask. You ask the ancestors, you offer tobacco. When you're at a sacred fire, you ask, again, you ask the ancestors, you ask the grandmothers and grandfathers. And if you're in ceremony, in a pipe ceremony or in a sweat lodge, that's when you ask those questions. And they can give them to you. They'll come to you in a vision or in a dream. And a lot of times that's how things have happened with me. I remember like asking certain things and like I'd be in ceremony. I maybe at a ghost dance or a sun dance, and I'd offer tobacco and I'd pray at that sacred fire. And then maybe a month later, 6 months later, whatever, things start coming to me. I start getting these thoughts and ideas that I didn't even know, like, I had never thought of before, or I'll have a dream or a vision. And those ancestors and those grandmothers and grandfathers do answer you. But it's that's the way we've always done it. When we do that name or when we do that warrior, then it becomes your responsibility to find that connection. And the only thing I can tell you about raising your daughter with that name, which is a hummingbird, right? And it's about just basically raising her with love and with understanding, and teaching her how to pray, teaching her how to smudge, teaching her to offer tobacco, and giving her that opportunity to be the best possible person she can be, and guiding her and helping her the way our parents always did, like what our ancestors would have done. And it's just by loving that child to the very best of your ability, and to keep her from harm and to protect her. And I'm shocked that she's 2 years old. Oh my God, Erica, it's been that long since I've seen you. But I think that's wonderful, and what a blessing for you to have that little girl in your life, And if somebody else has, maybe they can answer.
Marilyn or Mig, do you have something to contribute to that?
Sorry, I just got, I lost all my sense of thoughts when I seen my little granddaughter, Sisue. Hi, sis. Good. And hey, oh my God, so cute. I just wanted to also Begudoxin, Erica. Well, Sudun, Hagelu Ganai, Amen. Nige Duchich, Gane, Nige Bem Lugadestuo. Nige did and make my way. So, with names, like I totally, I'm online right behind you too, Jane, in regards to what you shared. And I know mostly this is right across the board, you know, we name mothers, grandmothers, families name their children because they want, it's to maybe name them after clans of the life sources out there from human, our relatives, aunties, uncles, and then our extended family, you know, like Stohonk, the trees, and all coming from nature. That's our original teachers, our original family. And that in our indigenous worldview, according to our language, that's what we aspire to. And you know, being humans, we're aspiring to be and to hold integrity like the tree, like the bird, like the fish, you know, and so those are what we're honoring, the original teachers, and those names that are given to us, we become those names. And the more we call each other according to how we want to aspire or to transcend to, you know, just as I just acknowledged my little granddaughter, Sisue. Sisue carries the gift of heat, the gift of flame. That's the life force. See, the sees, you know, sees the triangle of that brings all that or those elements, the life, you know, the life essence, energy, spirit, energy, and our own will. Okay, so I would encourage Erica, you know, to continue that journey, you and your daughter, and learning from the original teachers, you know, Sahadij, which is, I understand, is many know as the dragonfly, Milidaj, you know, the hummingbird, and for you, Akjigahtugawisksisip, you know, so you be in the who you are, like all those elements. It's no coincidence that you guys all have wings, and you know, so the teachings comes from the wind and from the sky, that those families. So your wings help to shift energy. So those are like starting points, as Jane identified too, to begin to embrace. You know, when, just to share quickly, you know, I named my youngest daughter Manisko Jusen, combining the Wabanaki languages of Wampanoag and miigam'agan, meaning there's a breath of the breath of life, and the and it comes in many ways. Like there's the more magnifiedness of like tornadoes, hurricanes, winds, and then there's like that subtle breath, that warm breeze that comes, you know. And we were at a location where the hurricane and the was coming towards our direction, and Jusen was maybe about 10 years old, and she was petrified. She was just thinking we're all going to die. All the trees are going to fall on our area, you know, and she was in her bedroom, and I went to go talk to her, and I asked her, I said, honey, I said, this is your family. You know, juice and call out. And no, they need to know where their child is. You are their child. That's your first family. And, you know, and so she kind of pulled the drawers, like the blankets down, and she said, you know, she responded. And so she said, and I asked her, please let them know where we're at, where you're at, and tell them that you're having you're in a human body, and you don't know if you can handle that, handle their energy. So she did. And this is who we are as humans. What happened was there was an announcement. They said that they described it how it kind of funneled out in both split. The energy, the wind current split, and it went out to the Atlantic Ocean. And I told her, that circle, that split, I said, was because they knew where you were at. You know, and so these are our stories of they were spoken like this several thousands of years ago and today. You know? So, you know, I just want to share that and encourage you, Erica, to know that that relationship, reconnect with the original teachers, in the natural world, our first teachers of our ancestors, and you'll be guided too.
Thanks, Meg.
Thanks, Meg.
Anyone else before we go on? Or Erica, do you have anything you want to add or say?
No, I just want to say it's really nice to hear everyone's voice, and I really appreciate the words, and just a reminder to go back to the original teachers and offer tobacco, and the answers will come. It's just, I don't know, I felt kind of lost. Yeah.
Thank you. And Carolyn Paul offered a suggestion in our chat line. Skigan told me to learn from and watch the animal or things you are named after to learn more about that spirit and life essence. And I see that Marilyn is weighing in on the call. So do you want to add something, Marilyn? I can. Yeah.
You can hear me? Okay, good. Hello, beautiful.
Are you talking to me?
You know I am. Hey, Erica, how you doing? Jeez, hummingbirds. You know, I always thought my Auntie Rose loves hummingbirds. That's what I know about hummingbirds. She just loves them. And you know what I was thinking, you know, the birds are, I don't know, I'm not a lot, I just go by how I feel and how I see things. And I think like the hummingbirds are messengers, right? And when you see a hummingbird, I think it brings healing because it's so beautiful and it's like so small. And they say, and it brings smiles to people, like, and everybody always looks for that hummingbird, right? That's how I see it. And when anything or anyone, any spirit can make a person smile and feel good, even if it's for a brief moment. Like that's healing for your spirit. And I know they say when you want to know more about your, you know, your spirit animal or your spirit name, you know, you can ask a lodge keeper. You can fast for 4 days, and you can go in a sweat, or they say you can speak to a person who sees, who has visions, and they can help you along with maybe why your baby is a little hummingbird. And maybe it is to bring healing and love and all those good things, because we need that in our world. So that's my input, I don't know if it will help, but that's just how I see it. When they come, they give us, they just make us feel good, you know. So maybe that's what she's going to do. Maybe she'll be in a place where she's going to be offering healing and love and wisdom and all those things that our ancestral teachers bring us. My mother always believed the animals were our original teachers, and she always said that. And anything that we as humans do, we learn from the animals. And she always loved the beaver because she always, compared the beaver to a carpenter. And she said, and if you watch the beaver, and she said they're so smart, they can live on land and water, when they build their home for protection for their children. And it's like so cool. I think our way of life is so awesome, and it's opening a lot of doors, and I think it's helping a lot of our people heal in a good way. So that's my input, and I'm so happy that we're here, and thank you for inviting me. And yeah, Lalio.
Oh, thank you. I'm not really the MC here, but I know that we're having some technical troubles. So I just wanted to know, was there somebody next who has a question or wants to have a conversation about something? Anybody want to?
So
do that?
Summer has put her hand up. So go ahead,
Okay.
Summer.
I have some questions about like the naming ceremony, because like I got my name, what was it, like just before the lockdown, and my name is she who soars high above the clouds, and my colors are turquoise, gold, white, and spirit warriors, fox woman. So anyways, I'm proud of my name and everything. And I'm just wondering, like, is it possible for someone else to have the same name? Like, because I've met someone who's got the exact same name as me, the same colors. The only difference is that she's got a turtle for her spirit warrior, and I have a fox. So I was just wondering, like, what are the possibilities of like meeting someone with your same name? And like, what's the meaning for that? Or is that like,
It does happen. It does
Yeah.
happen. When you think about how many people there are in the world, how many people share the same birthday as you? So it's possible that people have the same name and maybe the same colors, but sometimes there is something a little bit different, like maybe your warrior or the spirit you carry. But it doesn't mean that name is not for you. It's just that other people may share that name. Like I know like for instance, my warrior is said of a white buffalo, right?
Mhm.
Sometimes she comes in the form of a white buffalo. Sometimes she comes in the form of a human being, of a woman. But
Yeah.
that doesn't mean that when she's with me that she can't be with others. She's a spirit. So she does transcend that physical realm. If I'm praying and she's listening to me and protecting me, because she can, like, time and space are not that, she can also protect others at the same time. So it's okay if we have the same name as somebody else, and it's okay if we have even the same colors. And sometimes, like I said, it's different. Maybe we have a different warrior, maybe we have a different spirit, which makes us unique in that way. Like when I go to Sundance, like there's certain colors and certain flags that I hang in the tree. But I also see people going up with those colors and hanging them in the tree for themselves or for others with those particular colors. So it does happen. No, but it doesn't mean you're any less unique because your name is like somebody else's.
Okay, it's just like I have the I have the belief in my head that your spirit doesn't change, your body does, right? So in my head, it's like if your spirit doesn't change, then I don't think your name should change either because your spirit doesn't. That's the name they recognize you as in the spirit world. But
Sometimes names change.
yeah,
And it kind of depends where you are in your life, where you've grown, who you're dealing with. Even like my children, for instance, like my daughter, one of my daughters, her name was when she was a little girl. She got her name when she was about 4 or 5 years old, and her name was Little White Buffalo Calf Girl. And then when she went through her puberty rites, her name changed. Her name changed to Buffalo Child. And whereas my other daughter, her name is Golden Rainbow Eagle Girl was her name. And then when she went through her puberty rites, her name changed. The only thing that changed was the last word. It became Golden Rainbow Eagle Woman. So, sometimes names change, sometimes it's completely different. I know when I first had a name for protection, my name was Red Buffalo Woman. And then when I went out and I fasted on the land, I was in Six Nations, I fasted there and then got my name at the end of my fast. And my name changed to First Dawn Woman. So it can change. The name can change. I don't know of your spirit, but I know your name definitely can change. And it depends where you are in your life and what's going on. And some people will get a name and it'll never change.
yeah, because my first name was Spotted Eagle Girl, and then it changed to She Who Soars High Above the Clouds, and my spirit remained the same.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like they're both eagles, though.
Yeah, that's
Because
what I
they
mean,
soar
like,
above the clouds by the eagles.
yeah, that's what I was told. My spirit is the spirit of the eagle, and my warrior guide, my warrior spirit is Fox Woman.
Mm.
Yeah, that's all I had to ask. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks. I don't have any buddies coming up and questioning. It must be Ishbel or Adriana. So is there another person waiting with their hand up?
Not that I can see.
Okay, we can see you now.
Yay, there we go. And just to say, I actually ran into someone who has a name so similar to mine, it blew my mind. And it was kind of like, whoa, that's amazing. And
Grace.
I realized that
Jesus Christ, all
it was
fucking mighty.
Ron Tremblay. And anyways, it's just that we do similar work, but the spirit helpers and such were different. But yeah, so, and my name changed from when I was 18 and first given a name until I was 32. So Louise has her hand up, and I'm going to go on mute, and I'll make you co-host too, Kathy, so you can see when the hands go up.
Can you hear me? Okay. My name is Louise Lamont. I'm a Swampy Cree woman from Territory 5 in northern Manitoba. I'm from the Cross Lake Cree Nation. I want to give gratitude for being for getting the invitation to come into this this sacred place of sharing with women. My mother is miigam'agan. I can't say her name right now because she's traveling in the spirit world, but her mother was Louisa Moose, and her mother was Bella Moose. That's the lineage that I come from. I'm living here in Prince Edward Island. I've been here about 15 years. So I'm receiving my teachings from Noel Millier. I go to his lodge for fasting. I fast spring and fall, and I've been there I think about 8 years now. So my question, and I want to acknowledge that I joined the fall gathering in Fredericton twice. I went there to join your group of women, and it was a very sound teachings, and I acknowledge the teachings that I received when I was there. So when I saw this group on Eventbrite, I quickly asked if I could join. So my question is, I'm going towards my 70s now, and I come from the teachings in my nation. They were lost for at least 2 generations before I was born, and we were raised in a Christian and Anglican Catholic and born again Christian lifestyle. So I never knew anything about our cultural teachings, and I didn't know how special we were. So I never received any of my teachings at all, and I didn't know that I was different until I think I was around 40. Around 40, I got my spirit name because I had a medicine dream that really affected my life, and I found my way to an elder, and he explained all that to me and gave me my name at 40. So this is where my question comes in. Is there I feel like at this stage of my life that I work hard to try and build that bridge for healing of myself, but also of my family, because we were lost from our teachings for some generations. So when I fast, that's what I fast for, to heal those wrongs and those illnesses and sicknesses that we carry for my children, my grandchildren, and my great-grandchildren now. But I realize where I come from with my parents and their parents, that there was also some grave difficulties there also. So that is my place of trying to get some healing in my cultural lineage. So I'm wondering if within the miigam'agan teachings, because these are the teachings I'm receiving now, is there a need, or is there a necessity for me to go and to get those traditional teachings that we all received as a child? Like, is it necessary for me? Would I be able to achieve my goals easier if I go back and get my walking out ceremony, say by example, or get my, our cycle teachings, our moon teachings, like I would when I was a young girl? I'm missing all those teachings in my life, and I'm just wondering, is there any kind of is that done here, or is that something that's a possibility, or is it would it even be necessary? Because I do understand the strength and the connections that do happen in fasting, and I get many teachings there. But I'm just wondering if that's something that happens. Thank you for taking my question. Exe.
What a great question. And you certainly do not look like you're going into the 70s. So, wow, awesome. I already know a few people who probably could shed some light on there, like Jane, and then Mig, and probably Marilyn. I just know your work. How about you, Jane? Why don't you?
Tansy, this is Jane. I just wanted to, like, when you're talking about those things, and we do those ceremonies too, but COVID has done a lot of, there are so many things we can't do now. One of the things that my daughter and I were doing and have been doing is preparing young girls for those rites of passage, those puberty rites. And COVID just put a damper on that. We just finally had our first sweat. We had naming ceremonies, we had teachings online, and then we had a first sweat with the girls, the young girls, and some of them began their berry fast. But we haven't been able to get together again since before Christmas. The last time we had anything together and had a feast was in November, the full moon in November. But my daughter also last year, she had a vision, and she was told how to do a ceremony, and we were going to do it. We're supposed to do it on the full moon following in July, I think in the middle of summer, or 4 days after the full moon. And that ceremony was given to her. And that's how a lot of times we have received ceremonies, is through visions and dreams. And one of that ceremony was to help women like us. We didn't go through those puberty rites. We didn't go through those walking out ceremonies. We didn't go through those ceremonies as young people. But it was a ceremony for women and for sisterhood and for bonding. And it included, there are those ceremonies, and it was around the full moon. And anyway, she knows more about the ceremony because she's the one that the grandmothers and grandfathers explained the ceremony to her. But we also have other ceremonies. For instance, we do a welcoming the baby ceremony that was given in a dream and in a vision to my older daughter. And we've shared it, and we've given it to other people, and we've sent it out to, you're from Manitoba, we've sent it out to the Turtle Lodge in Saugeen, and had given it to the elders there, and they've translated some of it into their own language. And so those, to me, that we as Indigenous people, we've always shared our cultures. We've always shared our way of being. And sometimes it's a little different, and that may be the uniqueness, but we've always shared ceremonies, we've always shared ideas. And when we start, I think, dividing ourselves too, the other thing is people will say, well, that's not miigam'agan. That's kind of, to me, that's a colonial way of thinking. That's that division that the colonizers have taught us, to divide ourselves rather than unite us. Because one of the things I remember being told is years ago when I was in a ceremony, is that I come from the land of Wabanaki, and I was told, always say that, because Wabanaki is what one of the districts and territories, but it means that there are other people from that district, and the elder told me that's the land that our ancestors left for us, Izunamagi. They didn't leave Memberto for you. That's a place where the government put you. So when you say I am from, use the districts, because that's where you belonged. Anyway, so I was saying, but we always shared, like when you look at Indigenous people, for instance, I always take the example of a snowshoe. We use snowshoes here. You use snowshoes in northern Manitoba. People on the plains, they use snowshoes. They're all different styles, but they've all shared that technology of snowshoes. We've all used canoes, different styles maybe, but we shared that knowledge with each other. We shared knowledge on how to make drums. We've shared knowledge on how to make rattles. So we've always shared that knowledge, and we can take those things and those ceremonies, if they've been given to us, and make them our own. And again, it's about asking the ancestors. It's about asking the grandmothers and grandfathers. And I've always believed, and I've always been told by elders, we haven't lost stuff. The ancestors are holding it for us. It's up to us to ask the ancestors, to offer tobacco, to pray, and they will come and they will let you know. It might not be tomorrow, but they will give you that information. Anyway, that's it for me.
Oh, sorry. I would like to say that your question was about, what Jane just answered is right on, but your question also asked, is there a place for us who didn't get those ceremonies? And like Jane said, many of us didn't, because of the world we live in. And like, for example, my mom and my dad, they weren't raised to know the traditions. I mean, they know their traditional ways as miigama, but the ceremonies and things like that, I think because of the impact and the disconnect, not everybody was accepted or learned them. But your question was, is there, I don't know if you said, is there a place, or how do we go and reclaim those? Is it, at our age, is there a way or a place or a thing we can do to bring those, to catch up or to go through those stages even at this time? So my only thoughts on that are that there's all kinds of ways, and Jane just explained many ways for us to find those. But the Women of First Light, one of the major reasons we are working together is so that we can reclaim a lot of our traditional ways or our ceremonies or the knowledges that have been left for us, but we didn't, we just need to do ceremony in ways to bring it back. That's what Jane said. I think the power of that we as women of the First Light acknowledge that we're so we've been so disconnected that we have a lot of work to reclaim our ways, whatever those are, Wabanaki ways or, miigama, and like a lot of people to the east, to the west of us, Mohawk, have been holding some of those for us, waiting for time for it to come back, or for the eastern door to open, and there's all those teachings about that. I think just hearing you from your district as well is similar to us, where there's some of us out there that have to reclaim it or go back. And the power of what the women of First Light have been doing is, okay, so we have something to talk about. Let's either organize a gathering, not to answer the question in the 2 or 4 days we gather, but just to begin that conversation and to help people, no matter where they're at in that reclaiming time, to share with one another, so that we build a consensus of, yeah, that feels right. Yeah, that's right. And for example, just trying to adjust to COVID. I remember at the very beginning, I'm going to admit somebody here. Did you admit her? Adril. Was, how do we do this? How do we do ceremony online? How do we smudge? What do we do here? And I think we didn't have the answer right away, but over time we've all, including all of you, have come to figure out how the best way to do it. And again, there's not one way for each. There are specifics that belong to certain traditions and cultures, and then there's the common ones. And I think women of First Light we've just been discussing, and when we feel right about something, we share it, or we gather together and share that with anyone who wants to come together with us. And thank goodness for Catherine Donnelly Foundation for the Writing Relations, because it's given us that ability to do that. And in the end, it's so that moving forward in the future, these questions will be answered, and they'll know where to go to get, what's specific to them or what is general. They'll know what is right and what isn't ours, or not. I don't mean ours as in miigama, what doesn't work and what is not, doesn't seem to fit with our ways. So that's all I have to say, and I wondered if there's anyone else that wanted to add into that, Meg or Marilyn. Anyone else too. I'm just picking on those two because they signed up to be talked to.
And because we raised our hands.
Yeah.
Hi, Louise.
No,
How are you?
I don't think so.
I don't know, like everybody has different beliefs and different ways of doing things. And I remember when I was young, my grandmother taught me to be proud.
You were young?
I know, I'm still young. But my grandmother taught us to be proud of who we were and where we came from. And it was never a time in my life that I ever felt that I was less than anybody else because of the teachings that my grandmother gave me. Mind you, I didn't know about the cultural part. I did have my language. And my grandmother instilled common sense into me. Which I brought forth with myself without even, knowing. And then once I connected with our way of life, and I think you were asking if you, because of your age, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. I thought I was hearing, like, should you have to learn it? Or I think it's up to the individual. And I think at where we're at, if we are to learn it, it's to help the young women who may come to you with questions, and you'll have the answers for them, I guess. And I know a lot of like Janie, I go to Janie done our welcoming ceremony and naming ceremony for my granddaughter, Evelyn Gigi. And it's something that we have to bring back, and I am a strong believer of our way of life. I mean, I respect everybody's way of life, but when you're in Ilnawegadi, the land that they now call Miigam'agan, you honor those ancestors. when I first started on this road, I was looking for answers, and everybody kept telling me I had to go out west. I had to go out west to get my teachings. And my grandmother always said, you get your, people look for answers and they go all over the world, and then they come back home and they find their answers in their own backyard. So that's what I did. Even though I was preparing to go out west, my heart wasn't in it. And so I think if you do anything with good intent and with love and with respect and knowing that that you're learning these things to bring forth good things, good healing, love and respect and all those things that sometimes our people don't get. My mom was Marilyn Francis, and she's with me every day, and she says, when you work for your people, you give them 100% because they're used to being treated like second-class citizens. And she told me that when I was like around 14, and that always stayed with me. And anything that I do for our people, I do it 100% or more. And I can only share what I know and how I feel about things. And with our, they say we had our sacred name. We had our sacred name when we were in spirit world. But because we had lost connection for whatever reasons, that those names didn't come with us, and the Aglacio started naming us, right? So when we have these naming ceremonies, it doesn't come from the individual, it comes from our ancestors. It comes from the spirits, and they bring it through. And I even remember one time I said, gee, everybody, my spirit name is Standing Bear. And I was told that my direction was the west. And so they said that I'd stand for justice, and when I got my name, I stand for justice. I said, oh my God, I'm going to be in the courts all the time. That's how I looked at justice, right? And so I tried to get another name. I said, geez, I think I want another name. So I went to a naming ceremony, and there was a grandmother and grandfather doing them, and so he told me, oh, he said, your name is Standing Bear. I was like, what? He said, yeah, your name's Standing Bear. He said, but I'll tell you, he said, your direction changed. He said, your direction is now the north. He said, but your spirit name is still Standing Bear. So now I understood what they meant when they said I would stand for justice. I look at it differently now, and it's, justice for our people. And it doesn't matter what we do in life, as long as we do it from a good place and with good intent, and and not to tell people, oh, you're wrong, don't do it that way, this is how we do it. It's not that it's wrong, it's different. People do sweat lodges different. People do ceremony different, and it's not wrong. It's just the teachings that we as individuals take and carry with us that work for us. So I guess if I were you or me, I would learn as much as I could learn, so that way I could pass on knowledge to young people who may come to you for answers, because we all have that gift, and being Ilnu, it's like we're so special, we're like so sacred, our ways are sacred. Our ways are sacred. Our ways that people are coming to us now, wanting to know our ways, how we do this and how we do that. So I think I'm just talking a little too much, but I want to thank you for your question. I want to thank the women for their answers, and I do. I really love our way of life, and it's always about good intent. When you have good intent and you work with spirit and you work with ceremony, you can't go wrong. I'm sitting miigam'agan, all my relations.
Well, Alan, Marilyn, what about Mig? Do you want to weigh in on this? You don't have to. I'm just picking on you.
No, I just wanted to thank Louise and the responses, like Marilyn said, and thank you for joining us this evening. And your questions were, as Kathy shared, were our questions, which is why we're here together. And thank you, Ish, for putting the information out on the messenger, on the chat box here, information. And I would certainly encourage and extend an invitation, Louise, to join and continue the conversations. And yeah, when you said your age, I was like, oh my, you know, it's, yeah, light. We had, you know, so much peace on your face and lightness. And so I look forward to, you know, weaving our lives together to share all this wonderful knowledge around, you know, around the circle here tonight. I do also want to say quickly, I think the hardest part is the community, the practicing, celebrating with community. And that's a big loss. And I think it's, with this story is too familiar from our ancestors, how they were separated in reservations, you know, breaking our nation apart through provinces, you know, our imaginary territorial lines that was put in there by our oppressors, you know. And so, but the land, we know her well as our mother, you know, and that the sacred, the divine, does not interfere in women too much. And when they do, it happens. And I think those are the other pieces that still are a big part in our life. We were born with those gifts. We were born to be able to form ourselves in water, you know, and then transcend ourselves into air, you know, without hurting our mothers. Come and breathe into, travel through her birth canal, be immunized through her vaginal walls, out through that opening, and breathe in the air. And divine is present when the doors of heavens open, and this is our inside us. And so, do you know, and then we continue, and then through at 6 years old, between 6, 5, 6, 7, if we can just remember, we were given our also spiritual knowledge, and the ones who came to claim us in our dreams as children. Because the number system also across the lands teach us they're really markers of how we're to celebrate ourselves, you know, or be celebrated. You know, time to the flowering, you know, when the moon comes to visit us, Wapna'kikewi'skwaq, like, you know, that's the time of and flowering. And for me, when I say flowering in English, it doesn't mean too much except pretty and smelling good. But Wapna'kikewi'skwaq is an instruction of an experience and what the gift is, you know. So those natural life cycles we're already been equipped, you know, to honor and celebrate our physical, spiritual development, emotional, you know, development as we're going through those stages of life. And it's in us all. and we need to, when we come together, to share those, and we did that through Women of First Light numerous times, and where I remember the women, death doula and birth doula, and all these gatherings that Kathy quickly summarized is what's happening in our circles and communities and how we support each other. So I was just gonna invite you, but this came out immediately out of my, they're here, so it flowed out to remind all of us that we all hold these gifts, and I think the only thing that is missing, which was so important, is creating those ceremonies and celebrations. They're there, but sometimes evolution too is very good, because the dreams continually come to the young women to help co-create those ceremonies, and the language. So again, Velalia, thank you for being here tonight too, all of you.
Yeah. I know Angel Moore is up next. I just want to say that I think, besides saying we got to get together and organize ourselves and, whatever, we also saw that young women, like us when we were young women, were seeking and searching and getting information in all directions. And sometimes it was very hurtful, and it was taught in a very angry way, or a forceful way, saying, it's this way or the highway, or you don't do this and you don't do that. And not only was it confusing our young people, not just our women, but it was, for example, it seemed for a while in this area, men were trying to tell us what teachings the women have. And, one of those things that we realize is that they really can't, that's not their role, right? They can't tell us whether we can go in ceremony on our moon or not. That's up to the women. There's women's teachings, and the way you receive them need to be from us, from those who walk that road of being a woman. And I know there's a lot more to say to that, so no problem. Everybody wants to chime in on that, but we thought, a lot of us thought that we had to stop the confusion, and we want to move forward and send forward with these young women who are, so much more courageous and so much stronger in their conviction to walk their roads than a lot of us were way back when they were young. So I think that was one of the main reasons, is we understood that there's a lot of confusion, and a lot of the ways teachings are delivered are not as beautiful as miigam'agan's way. And, we're so lucky to have miigam'agan. And again, because of who we are, the miigama, we share her with you, but we share everything. And I can't tell you how wonderful it's been to be part of a group, to know my back. To know the women, my sisters, have my back. And as long as I keep walking the road the way I'm supposed to, and even if I go off the road, they still have my back, but they pull you in a stronger way. But it's something that can be done right across Turtle Island. And I'm not saying make your own groups, make some groups and connect with our groups, because I think that's how we're going to move forward and make sure the future, that our young women, that are, a lot of them are on this call, will take them with confidence and walk forward and make sure that they're not being watered down or misinterpreted from a non-Indigenous point of view or perspective. Yeah. So Angel, sorry I talk so much. Angel, would you like to talk now?
Just
Angel
unmute it.
Moore.
Hi, hello. Thank
Okay.
you very much. And I really, really appreciate being here, and I'm very grateful for being here. And I wasn't planning on speaking, but I am speaking because of Louise's comments. I am also Swampy Cree. My community is Peguis First Nation in Manitoba. So a lot of what Louise spoke about, I can relate to. I'm the first generation who has not attended or were taken forcibly to residential schools. I remember my great grandmother, she was fluent in Cree more so than English. And today, only one of my uncles and one of my little cousins speak Cree fluently. Nobody else does at all. So it's amazing going to a Mi'kmaq community and hearing people speak fluent Mi'kmaq. I've met young people who are, children and teenagers, and their first language is Mi'kmaq. And it's really, really beautiful. And you guys are very, very fortunate. And so thank you, Louise, for speaking. I too feel kind of like lost, being a Mi'kmaqi and learning so much from my Mi'kmaq friends that I've gotten to know for about the last 6 years or so. But it's not pan-Indigenous, right? There is a difference from the Cree tradition. But I'm learning Mi'kmaq tradition because I'm a guest here in this territory, and I'm learning a little bit of Mi'kmaq lessons. I attend a class to learn Mi'kmaq because I know people around here who speak Mi'kmaq. I suppose there's not a whole lot of Cree speakers around here. So I appreciate, and I just wanted to give thanks out. I wish I could do that all the time, but it's in my heart of gratitude and thanks that I'm in this territory, and I feel so welcomed, and I feel so loved that I trust my life always. So thank you, Louise, for speaking. So I just wanted to say, hey, a Swampy Cree, like not Plains Cree or Woodlands Cree, but a Swampy Cree. My relatives are from east of James Bay. They came a very long time ago and hooked up with Chief Peguis. So, but thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Angel. Ansalewit. That's your name, Ansalewit. Lovely to see you. Okay, so is there somebody that would like to start another little conversation about anything? I don't see the hands. You'll have to let me know, Ishbel, because I'm driving blind here, which I do a lot, so don't worry about that. I kind of know what's going on. Ish, Adriana, are there any hands being held up?
No hands up at this moment.
Okay.
If there's anybody who wants to just jump in. Oh, it looks like.
Hey. Okay, what would you like to tell us?
Keep
You have
saying
something
hi
to tell us. I see you too. I see you.
Hi, Sisue. Hi, Sisue. Love you.
One of the quotes, one of the quotes in our history books that weren't written by us was by Nicholas Denny, who said he was observing the Mi'kmaq when they were in a circle talking with him and other dignitaries, I guess. And they were all sitting around, and the Mi'kmaq men were in the circle, and a child walked in, and everything stopped and everybody focused, the miigam'a focused on the child, and Nicholas Denny was quite taken aback and a bit appalled that a child would come in and all attention would go to that child. And I laugh when, you know, when the little girl shows up, we just all stop, and whoever's talking, who cares? We're all going to speak to that child. And I just think that gives that child so much confidence, and they feel so supported by the people. And here again was an obvious change, difference in our way of life versus the Europeans' ways. They also, this in the same writing, he said, these people, they chew their food and give it to the children. How terrible that must be, you know. Well, first of all, we didn't have disease, apparently, but also it made sense, like common sense, Marilyn, about, you know, you can't give a child a big chunk of meat. You have to chew it up so they can swallow it. And it's just those different ways of life and ways of knowing that I've spent most of my adult years working through, trying to see through and find out from different people, oh, that is your, you know, that's what you believe, or that's, we do that, or when, you know, you're questioning, is that traditional, or is that something we do? I just ask people, and I get a sense of, I think that's ours. I think that's a traditional way, because it goes back, and so many people know it. And so, like, you know, just what we just experienced, the little girl coming on, we just stop and look at her, not because we're women, because a child is just so, everything just brings so much joy and happiness and actually some wisdom. So I just wanted to share that. And anyone can share other thoughts. It doesn't have to be on topic. It just can be, you can just share with us from your heart. Mick. Ah, we have a new face. Hello. I don't know your name. I know you, but I don't know your name.
That's Ducey.
You. Oh, you're on mute.
Oh, I was just asking who's on deck.
You are Ducey.
You.
Okay, all right. I was just moving my mouse around here trying to figure this out. And
I just a mouse in your house?
Just one right in front of me, and I'm controlling it. I was just thinking about Louise and what she had brought up earlier about missing all of those milestones or ceremonies throughout her life. And, you know, I attended a lot, but I never went through those milestone ones, you know, like to turn into a woman, and about the strawberry fast, and even becoming a grandmother, you know. But I learned about what they were, and I'm pretty sure that, you know, our spirits or our ancestors they're really forgiving, and they know that it wasn't our fault what had happened, you know, to our people with the residential schools and the loss of language. You know, when I hear them say a lot about the language and learning the language, you know, and my parents both spoke two different languages. So English was our found, you know, my main language. We never were given the opportunity to learn three languages because they were both residential school survivors also. So, but also that one of the things that I believe is that we have ancestral memory in our blood, and what we need to know, you know, if we seek it within from our own bloodline and our DNA, just like everything else is inherent. You know, always talking about our inherent trauma, you know, and how it's affected our DNA, but so hasn't that resiliency, and so haven't all of those ways, you know, if we don't, even if we're not acting them out in our physical form, I believe that they're in our bloodlines, and it can be called out, you know, and yeah, might have missed a lot of milestones when we were younger, but you know, everybody, like miigam'agan said, we all have gifts. Every one of us, we're born with that. We're born with those gifts, and you know, you got, I think, connecting with spirit and connecting with yourself, you know, through what you need to forward it. You know, I'm not saying don't try to go back, but learn about them, you know, because I really believe in that. And you know, I was in the city. I was a 10-year-old, you know, nobody talked about little people to me. I didn't know. So it doesn't matter if you're in the city or where you are, your spirit knows who you are. You learn who your spirit is. Get connected through spirit with your spirit and through the land. And they'll let you know what you need to know. Because, you know, I never knew nothing about little people, but I always knew all my life that my spirit knew, because they came to me when I was 10 years old. I was pure and innocent. I was freaked right out. I never heard of them. I didn't know they existed, but my spirit did. And they recognized me even in a city, you know, living in a ghetto in the city in Boston, you know, so yeah, I just wanted to share that, because I think that, you know, regretting, you know, the things that we've missed is, you know, just pick up where you are and start making that connection to your own spirit, and to our ancestors and to the land. And you'll be able to figure out what your gifts are and how to use them. I truly.
That's
That's all I really wanted to share. I don't want to share about my naming. I'm trying to mute myself now.
Oops.
Thanks, Ducey.
How are we doing out there? Who's out there? Who has something they want to say from their hearts? Sing. Anyone have a song they want to sing with us, for us? Don't be afraid.
I
Here's
just want
Jane.
to thank Ducey for what she just said. I could listen to her a lot longer. I think what she had to say was so important and such beautiful teaching. So, Ducey, walaliek, akesalulik.
And I think sometimes it's our children or our nieces or the young people that are in our lives that have come to help us. Nothing better than telling someone you need to have a ceremony for your daughter for the coming out or for first step, but you're actually getting the same teachings when they're bringing you. So I see them as our teachers, helping us to get things that we need to feel more whole. And I agree with Jane Ducey. That was nice.
I would just like to say before I leave that there's a kind of sense of not being able to fulfill my responsibility when I'm asking for insight from those that are carrying good medicine. And normally we would just naturally come to each other with our little bag of tobacco and offer that. So in that space, I want to just say that especially to the women that responded to me, your words affected me. I could feel them in my body. Jane, when you spoke about your daughters, I could feel that. I could feel that connection on my body. That was a sign, a direction sign for me that I must pay attention to, and I'm sure it'll evolve the way it's supposed to. So I want to say so much gratitude for this space, and I think COVID has made me, anyways, I can only speak for me, really understand this maybe the sensations or the times of our ancestors when they were forbidden ceremony and forbidden gathering, you know, and we have that with us somehow right now where we're not allowed to come together. So it makes me really it enhances this gratitude that I'm feeling to be in this space with you all, that it's so much needed. So and in the acknowledgement of that with the medicines, the teachings that I arrive here with, and that wherever I go, I've traveled and lived all around the world, and the teachings that I took and I brought it here was I go, as soon as I arrive here, I have ceremony with the spirits of this land and let them know who I am and introduce myself to them. And then I take the medicines to the chiefs of this land and introduce myself. And then I give the solid intention that I will do no harm while I'm here as a guest on this territory. So in that also, this giving of medicine now for the words of wisdom that have been shared with me, I will do my ceremony after this and put my tobacco down to all that shared their words with me. Ginanaskumatinawa, tawa.
Oh, well, Alan. I was just thinking about, once again, COVID. Oh, I'm trying to read whatever Ish is telling me here. About COVID, and one of the most powerful things that we do when we come together, when we physically come together, and we could do it online, and it would be just as powerful, but nothing like being in the circle. We call all pipes together, and all pipes come into the circle, and we have a pipe ceremony where everybody that has their pipe lights their pipe. And it's a wonderful way to begin a 4-day or 1-day ceremony. It just sets everything right and helps to call those spirits with us. And especially a lot of people who don't really understand or know how to do that, once they're in a circle like that, you get it. But when we're in a circle like this, people are smudging for us, and we just have to be aware of that while we're doing this, there are people praying and smudging, and you can smudge too, since we can't just be doing it all together. I see Elaine.
Yes, there's a
from
long
Minnesota.
message.
Do you want to talk, Elaine, or you just want us to read that? Thanking us for joining the meeting and telling our stories. Long day, I know. Everybody's having long days. And thanks, Elaine, for joining us, and hopefully you'll come again, or you'll actually physically join us somewhere in our next gathering, if that's supposed to be what we're supposed to do. Yeah, we have a great time, Women of First Light, because this is how we operate, just as you are seeing us. It's just nourishing, and probably one of the greatest parts, one of them, there's so many, is knowing that when you're having some trouble or questions, you just reach out and you get help. You get some answers and some support. And when you're really struggling, you know, they'll be right there for us. So it's not, we're not a small circle. We just keep widening and widening. As our circle gets wider, we get richer, stronger. I was thinking about that. Oh yeah, that was me. We have about that time thing, 8:08. We have about 20 minutes left, and I just wondered if there was anything is there somebody that would like to offer a prayer or some songs or some thoughts, anything from where you're at? Okay, Louise, do you have something? No? Elaine? No?
I'm going to put my email in the chat. We do have an email list that we send out when we're doing webinars and such, or different events. So I'll put that in the chat. And if anybody wants to join the email list, you can just email that. We also have a Facebook group where people share things. And so I've not been able to figure out how to get people to, if you know a member, you can join, or you can send me a friend request and I can add you. Or if you're friends with miigam'agan or whatever, she can add you. So that's also a good way to find out when we're having something like a moose hide tanning or a moose butchering or a basket making or language workshops or different things like that. We also have a website that we've been working on, and Adriana, who's on this call, is going to be helping with that. Sorry, Marilyn's messaging me at the same time.
Marilyn.
Marilyn is trying to get back on and can't, so she's trying to find the Eventbrite, or however you say that thing again, so she can get back on. So where was my thoughts?
Website.
Oh yes, the website. So we're uploading things. There's a lot of language videos that'll be uploaded. We also have a YouTube channel. There's a lot of language videos on there. There's videos on making peaked hats, on how to can veggies. There'll hopefully be one on how to butcher a moose soon. And I'm giving Mig the nudge for that because it's her son that's got to finish that one. So yeah, there's a lot of different knowledge keepers and such on our YouTube channel, which is Women of First Light. Yeah, so feel free to sign up for any of those things as well. Yeah, and I think that's about all I was going to say, Kathy.
It's funny how all of a sudden I'm sort of this MC here.
Well, I appreciate it, since every time I talked, it was like, it sounded horrible.
Did Marilyn get back on, anybody? Can we help her?
I'm trying to.
Well, I'm gonna break in and I'm gonna sing something. I'm not sure what, and it's just to start bringing us down to, you know, some sort of closing. So, because you know how it takes us so long to say Namultus. You have to start at the beginning of the meeting to start saying Namultus at the end. For some reason, this is the song they want me to sing, whoever they are that are always hitting my head with ideas. This is to honor the women who, besides, you know, keeping us alive for thousands of years, also contributed to our economy and our culture by making baskets. And my sister wrote the poem and I made some music, and it's become a song that a lot of people want to hear, but it's a song to honor Gull and Gould, and all the basket makers of our lives that, you know, I know there's basket makers right across the country, so it's not just the Mi'kmaq. Wisco, 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 Wisco. Basket maker, basket maker, old woman with the laughing brown in your eyes, sinewy, leathery hands, so strongly defined. The basket maker, basket maker, basket maker, own keeper of time. Wisco, Wisco, Wisco. Basket maker, basket maker, you have the heart of a fawn, and any child would see. You are the mystery of dawn. What thoughts have you as you sit so silently, making works of wooden lines, weaving my basket up and down, in and out, all around my basket so fine. Wisco, wisco, wisco. Basket maker, basket maker, old woman with the laughing brown in your eyes, sinewy, leathery hands, so strongly defined. The basket maker, basket maker, basket maker, own keeper of time, own keeper of time. Wisco, wisco. I see Kate Bennell has a question about tea. Wondering about making cedar tea. How long should it steep? And if making a few cups at a time, can I leave the cedar in overnight? Marilyn, you're back. Do you have an answer, Marilyn?
I haven't heard nothing for the past 15 minutes.
Okay. So anyone have an answer for the tea question about how long and can you leave cedar tea overnight? I don't see why you wouldn't, but that's just my thoughts.
Oh, hi.
Ducey.
Yeah, the only thing I heard about it is you make sure you steep it if you're making it to drink. If you boil it or leave the cedar in the liquid overnight, it can be too strong and become toxic. And you only take a little bit of it. So if you're going to drink cedar tea as a medicine, it's a very powerful medicine. So if you steep it like tea, you strain it out. And then if you want to save it overnight, you can put it in a jar and put it in the fridge. It'd be good for like 30 days only. But you only drink a little bit because it's a powerful medicine. And if you take too much or if you boil it becomes toxic. I just gave some to my niece Saturday. She's got the virus and she was sick, but you can boil it and steam it on a pot and it'll disinfect the air because they're saying that thing is airborne. So you know, and you can smell it all through the house. And I leave it in there and I put more water in and let it boil down, like for the air, because it's a purifier and it will purify your air for you. So you can open your doors and let some wind through, because the wind brings healing winds too, blows the sickness out, you know. And then put your cedar in a little teapot. I just use my little one to keep adding water, and I simmer and steam it 3 or 4 hours until it almost dries up. Till I forget, and then I remember it's on there. But
And that's for breathing it in, but for drinking, you're saying steep it and then take out the leaves and
yeah.
How
You know,
much?
like
How
only
much would you put in?
you put it in like you would tea, like a little handful, few good tablespoons if you're using the ones that are all off the branch.
What about with the branch?
It has the bark and the other properties in the branches and the bark. So I use it for steeping the whole, all of it, you know, because but for the tea, you
Strain, strain it.
Rub those little leaves off. If you want taking something away from you for medicine, then just probably 2 or 3 tablespoons, like heaping ones in a regular pot.
So what is the medicinal value or property? Is it for just for flus, or is it, what is it for?
Yeah, it does all. It's like similar to using chaga for the congestion, and for it's an antibacterial too, obviously, for the air. I can't remember exactly, but I know that it's works the same way as chaga does on all of these congestions and phlegm and sore throat stuff. But you need to be careful with it because it's a very powerful medicine. You know, all our medicines, well, cedar's the healer.
No wonder it's one of the 4 sacred medicines. The similar story comes out from the time of TB, that people who in homes where they constantly boiled bagozi and gigwasus, one or other, and constantly had that in the air, those families seem to be immune from the TB. So it seems similar to the cedar. So let's haul them all out and get them going. Okay, anybody else want to say a few things as we're winding down? We have another 9 minutes or so. Sorry about using time, but I'm sure we all have 10 more things to do after this, as usual.
If I could add on the cedar train, because talking about plants is my favorite thing. Is there like a distinction between the different breeds of cedar, like Eastern red cedar and other varieties? Or is it just any cedar?
Do say, how about you?
I don't know anything about the other varieties. I only know the one, so I don't know.
Other people across the country with cedar, anyone know? The Minnesota person's gone, so they can't tell us.
I just wanted to share a little bit about this. I don't know too much about cedar, but only the gaskusi here in our homeland, and with the power of that medicine, according to our Wooloostook sister Cecilia Brooks, she does a lot of medicines, and anyway, she said about the cedar that it is very effective, but not too much, because it's like Doozy said, toxic. It's very hard on our liver if it's taken too much. So it's got to be, you know, like when the time when these medicines were gathered, like we had truly just little teacups, like most ancient cultures, like, and you sip that. Okay, and you know how our ancestors would slurp Okay, now when it's hot, they're not intentionally sticking their lips out, and there's a purpose in that whole muscle. They said, you know, the muscles and the palate and how it, when you swallow, like sip it up like it does, and then it goes through that cycle or something through the throat. So it's, and to think it's a ceremony, it that you what's happening is the essence of that water, according to the teachings that we got too from Turtle Island Institute, from Jane, from Sly, with his relationship with the Japanese elders. And so, and then when he was talking about it, and that's what I was saying, oh my God, that's exactly what Bedewi is saying. Bedeu, like, anyway, it's describing when you put heat energy into a gift from the plant that's dry, and when you bring those two together, it awakens the spirit of that purpose as you're also communing with your drink. And so now Western science is catching up. At the cellular level, there's an exchange of that intent and knowledge of communion with our teachers, our first, the ones who are taking care of us. And this is the way that they take care of us. And so when we drink that, all that knowledge gets transferred into your whole being. So really, it's a merging of two spirits, an exchange of knowledge of what we need from each other and how we care for each other. So gaskusi is how we say cedar. And when you think about what it's saying, it's really important. It's going to require maybe our next get together to bring out some indigenous words and have it go around the table, and we get a wider lens of what that word is teaching us. Remember, you know, no one person designed the language. It was all the women across, which is why we know our languages as mother tongue. Ginu. Giju, Ahwinu, mother tongue, as part of it.
And just to add about the cedar, you can also bathe in it, which is really good. And my little grandson, if he's really upset about something, he'll ask me, I need a healing bath, Guppy. He calls me Guppy. And so we put on the big pot of cedar, and I collect rose petals in the summertime from the wild roses, and we add that to it because the roses are for healing your heart pain and the cedar is for cleansing. And so we put, you know, smudge the pot out, everything gets smudged out, put the water in, pray over the water, then put on the medicine and let it boil until it turns brown. And then I have another big pot and I siphon it through and then pour that into his bath. And we keep one little pot out so that after he's soaked in there, and we tell him, you know, to think about what he's asking for help for when he's in there, and ask the water to help him with whatever he needs help with. And then when he's done, he stands up and pours the last little bit over him to let go of whatever it is that's bothering him. And in the springtime, when the wild roses do those red little shoots, their new shoots, oh my gosh, that makes a strong medicine. You just clip that and put those branches in, and the cleansing for your heart is so strong. This year, I actually picked some and put them away in case we need them. I don't know if they'll work if they're not fresh, but we'll find out the next time he needs a healing bath, or if somebody needs a healing bath. Yeah.
So would Janie, if you're still with us, could you close us with some good thoughts and words and thank the ancestors for coming tonight? If you're with us, Janie.
I am. I was
Hey,
cut
here we
off for a little while. I lost connection for a while. And as I
are. Oh,
lost
no.
connection, doctor called. Anyway, so, but I was able to get back on and to hear a lot of what was going on. So yes, I'll close with a prayer. And, you know, I really am very grateful to so many of you. And, you know, I was looking at some of the names and just really happy to be here tonight. My spirit needed this. I needed that uplifting, and that's what you ladies bring to me. You know, it was nice to see Carrie Lynn's name up there and Andrea Curley, and it just feels good to be with such beautiful, powerful women. Um, but I really I'm just grateful for you bringing us together tonight. Grateful to Creator. Thank you so much, Ish, for doing this. So I'll close with a prayer. Iso Niskamijina, Uyumijina, Asa Highway, Muwalulek, Uchidula Walak, Muwalulek, Uchitandel Mawali, Atandel Yabohan Buye, Kamangisia Bohon Madu to this name of Pine. Akisia the what is not unknown to Moda. Muwalo, Uchitane Bijik, Diujigano, Bevisi Dudich. Dahaway Gijidudich, Uliabon Matsutia. Muwalulek, Uchidnike, Wala, Titsabon, Chitkisco, Uchidnima Juan, a Hochidexosity. A Haidamulek, Midaduinen, Sanohan, Gaman Menaj, Woloki listening. I guess Walama do listening. Gigmana, Nadliach, Amsidnogaba.
Msitnogama.
Thank you, Wish, for lighting that smudge.
Yeah. 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 So I thank everyone for sharing and helping me. I needed this too, Jane. And we really need to keep checking in on everybody, you know, just seeing where we're at. And thanks to Sisamon too for keeping this moving around.
And I haven't heard yet, but I've written to Janie and her daughter Paulina and Natalie, thinking about doing a session in February around forgiveness, because I know one of the things I faced in my life, it took me at least 10, 11 years to move to a place of forgiveness. And it can keep us stuck. So that seems like something that might be a good one to do. And we could also, you know, look at doing one on language and do, like Meg said, and do just a sharing circle around language, and can certainly set that up too. So yeah, we'll keep you posted.